And welcome back to another episode of the Real Deal Podcast.
Oh,
we really need a studio team. So if you want to come work for free until we monetize the podcast, come out. Man, we need a studio team. We try to go live on like 100 different things. But you know, that's the beauty of it. But welcome back to another episode, week 38, episode 38.
Episode 38, baby.
We technically missed a week for mental health week. You know what I'm saying? So that's Father's Day is tomorrow. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, except for mine, because I don't know where he's at. No, I'm just kidding. I do know where he's at now, but
I'm sorry, that was wrong. That was the wrong one. There we go.
But yes, with the greatest co-host in the world, Mr. Cleon Deal.
Oh, that's me. Okay. What's up, baby? How we doing, man?
What up? And myself, Mr. Brandon Haley. Funny thing about Father's Day, when I was growing up, I didn't meet my father till I was 20.
Right.
So the importance of father figures or having a father is super important. Lucky for me, I was able to have really great friends who had really great dads, great coaches that were father figures to me. And when I finally met my dad when I was 20, I don't hold any grudges or anything like that. There's no point to hold that kind of negative energy. So I appreciate all the father figures and my biological father, stepdad, all the dads and father figures that were in my life throughout that time. So happy Father's Day to all you guys, but you'll probably be listening to this in about 3 weeks.
Right.
And that is the main reason that I started my nonprofit, which just got approved for funding, to receive funding in the state of Florida.
There we go.
And the name of that nonprofit is called Finding Fathers, Tampa. Well, technically I got 2 EINs on accident, but one's approved for Florida. I don't know how that ended up working. So one will be globally eventually once we do that, but Finding Fathers Tampa, and that's what that exactly it's going to be. The same kind of mentorship that I received growing up for kids with no fathers, because that you need that growing up. You need a adult father figure that is intelligent.
Ideally. Yeah. Right.
To help kind of lead the way. There was a lot of things that maybe I wish I had a real dad to teach me, but still want to trade the experiences for the world.
Right.
Since I just told a Father's Day story, why don't we start with you? Do you have any good Father's Day story? Any people you want to shout out for Father's Day before we hop into today's conversation?
I mean, all the fathers and grandfathers and uncles in my family. For those of you who don't know, I come from a very large lineage down there.
The deal. That's why he had to get away from them. There's too many.
So thankfully, I was blessed enough and fortunate enough to grow up around a lot of very strong male role models who were a part of families, took care of their families, who put God first, who were active in their community, active in their school systems, and all of those things. So even to a point where my father and some of my uncles were mentors to people, young men without fathers who didn't have their fathers growing up. So we, a lot of time my parents would be babysitting a lot of people. So everybody's kids be at our house. So we go back in the backyard, play some football with them. You know what I'm saying? All that other fun stuff. But thankfully, so I grew up with a lot of that around me. And ideally one day, I'm not saying in the near future, but I get to pass that down.
Near future, hopefully.
Not
the day that day. I mean, at this day and age, I would be extremely grateful when that day comes, because all the lessons and trials and tribulations that I went through, I definitely am looking forward to being a father.
Right.
I had another thought and then it just literally went out. Oh yeah. So, but on the contrary, even if you do have, a father and a great father figure, you could still turn out to be not so good of a son. Just look at Michael Jordan's son compared to LeBron James's kid.
They're too rich.
Yeah, but it's like, you can't get lost in the temptations of the world. So when that happens, you still got to stay grounded, put God first, try your best to build that relationship. It's a lot harder younger, at least it was for me. But that's all I got to say on Father's Day stuff, because by the time this episode actually comes out, unless they rewatch it live, it'll be a couple weeks. So,
right.
But without further ado, I do have a question today, because as you guys know, we are professionals at giving relationship advice and not taking it. Well, I should say that I am. So I actually have a lot of people that actually, reach out to me and talk to me about the relationships. And, we always have this great advice and talk about it. But it's really hard to take your own advice. The reason being is because, emotions get in the way.
Right. Because you're in it.
You know what you should do, but you don't do it.
Right.
Because it's a little thing called emotions and being a human. So we don't necessarily take the advice that we're given or that we give ourselves.
Correct.
But anyways, I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not even going to say if it's a male or a female, but this individual got out of a relationship and we had been chatting, about ours, checking in on each other and stuff like that. And then they told me that, they hooked up with somebody and they feel so much better now. They're not anxious or sad. And I'm just like,
interesting.
That's just what we call a dopamine hit. And they go, yeah, well, now at least I can study for this that I got going on. Yeah, okay. I got to keep it real vague because I don't want to reveal this person's identity. So at least I can study for this and now on. Right. And I'm just like, yeah, but whenever you get out of a relationship, like the anxiety or the depression, whatever it is going to hit you in waves. So it's like the wave is still going to come back. You didn't just automatically hook up with somebody and then get over it.
Right.
That's not how it works. You have to still sit with those feelings. And it just led me to think, because now when you do something like that and you're not emotionally available, you have no intent to be with the person that you're just hooked up with. Now that's when you're playing with their feelings, especially if they like you. Right. So the question I was thinking, and I would have different answers to this questions if you asked me 5 years ago, 10 years ago when I'm in college versus today, is how long should you wait after getting out of a relationship to hook up with somebody else? What is the number of days, number of weeks, number of months?
8 hours.
Had you asked me in college, yes, that's the exact answer. Had you asked me in college, it's 8 hours, go find all her friends.
Oh, God. Not all of her friends, man.
If you asked me in college, that was over 10 years ago.
Right. Different guy.
Completely different person. But yeah, have you asked me in college? Yeah, it's like, all right, same day, I'm trying to get over this right now.
Right.
But what you come to realize is, that doesn't help you get over it.
Right.
You ask me today, it's like there really is
there's no timeline.
There's no timeline, because the next person I want to hook up with, I want them to be my wife or my future wife.
Right.
So in my head, it's like, if your answer is a week or whatever it may be, you have an answer. That's not going to help you get over that person. Trust me, I've been there, done that. It's not going to help you get over that person. It's just a quick dopamine hit. You think it's going to be good for a little bit, and then that's it. The waves are going to come right back. So the real and correct answer is the next time you should do it is with your spouse. That's the correct answer.
So here's the thing, right? And I'm gonna say this at the risk of sounding ridiculous.
I think that this question doesn't have any ridiculous answers.
Well, because they tell you after you when you're going through a breakup, one of the best things that you can do is keep busy doing things that you really enjoy.
All right.
So, all right. You said I can't sound ridiculous.
No, you got it, brother. You got
it. But I think it's one of those things to where, you should wait until you have time to, because obviously wait until you're ready. Oh, well, I feel like I'm ready now. Wait until you have really had a conversation with yourself on what you're looking for. Because one of the things, like you're talking about, obviously, with you get it into us with somebody who may actually like you. Obviously, if you're going back out into the world and, you know, to the streets, quote unquote, and you're being transparent about your intentions, you know, I'm not saying this is going to get you over the breakup, but that's ideally you don't play with other people's feelings. But I mean, I don't think that there's like you said, I think wait until you're married the next time would be probably the most ideal situation. So you know that you're in something that ideally is going to last, although 50% of them don't.
But culture says go back to the streets.
Yeah, you got to get under somebody to get over somebody. That's what they say.
That's what culture says, which is absolutely incorrect. Because now, when you lust somebody and then you start to gain feelings for them, now your feelings are skewed because you're not fully over this other one, and then you're getting their feelings involved, and then you become emotionally unavailable, and then they get mad at you, and then it just creates a whole different mess.
This is kind of like the question that I have on cycles, though. Basically, is like, how do you know when you're over somebody to then determine it's okay to start pursuing other people? Because to me it's a tough thing to determine being over somebody. It's like when you're over a certain situation or whatever the case is, you don't really know until something happens that's similar that has an opportunity to trigger you, and it either does or doesn't at that point. So it's like, to me, it's almost similar with something like this. How do you know when you're 100% over somebody?
That's a solid question. I think that you don't have to be 100% over them. You just can't hold space for them anymore.
What does that mean, though?
That means
hold space mean?
Hold space means that if you're holding space, you're holding space for them with the potential that they may come back into your life. So if you still would take them back into your life, if they came back, then you're not over them. So if you're still holding that space for them, you're not over them. If they would come back into your life and say, "Hey, let's do this again," and you're like, "Absolutely, let's talk about it. Let's do it."
What if?
Then you definitely shouldn't be talking to nobody else,
right? So, but what if, like, you would only do it if you weren't with, like, it was somebody like, "Hey, this didn't work out at a time, kind of right person, wrong time, sort of thing." And if we're both single in the future, if they were to come back, I would absolutely say yes to that opportunity.
Yeah. So then you shouldn't be pursuing anything else.
Why not?
You should be pursuing yourself, focusing on you.
And so you should just sit there and wait and hold out hope that person's going to come back.
No, I mean, if you're holding space, you're not going to hold out. You're not going to just wait and see if they come back or not, because then your love is in limbo.
Right.
You have to still focus on yourself. So you have to let them go. You can hold space for them with the idea of maybe they will come back, but you still have to let them go.
Oh, so can we hold space or not? Because that's what it
depends.
It depends.
So if you're not trying to pursue anything else, you can hold space and let them go. But at that point in time, that's when you should focus on yourself, your career, your morning routine, whatever it may be. Put that focus back into you, not another individual.
So
that's where people get it wrong. They think that, oh, even if this person comes back, I'll still be there for them. But in the meantime, I'm going to go sleep around and stuff. No, because now you are literally creating soul ties with all these other people. And one of them, something's going to turn out bad. Trust me, I know, I've been there, done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, something's going to turn out bad. So you might as well just focus on yourself.
So let me ask you this.
If you are holding space for that person,
is there anybody from your past at any point who, if they were to come back at some point, would you allow them back in?
Right now?
Not right now, because obviously you just got out of something. But
let's talking about the most recent one?
I'm just talking about anything in general. Anything in general. Is there anybody who you would say, like, if they were to come back and say, "Hey, let's try this out"? Sure.
Except for the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah, none except.
Let's say in a year from now, are any of those things that you would consider?
It depends on how I'm feeling in a year.
Interesting.
But as of now, none.
Right, I know as of now, right now, you know what I'm saying, because it's fresh. You know what I'm saying.
So as of now, none. But it's also like, that's why you have to, even if you're going to hold space for them, you still have to let them go, because you need to focus on yourself. And maybe in 6 months from now, you might not even think about him anymore. And then that's when you know you're not holding that space for him anymore. And then you can really be like, okay, now I can get back and start dating again. But I don't think that you should do what culture says and get over somebody by getting under somebody.
Right.
It doesn't really work. You might it's a dopamine hit. You're getting a temporary dopamine hit to where you feel good. You feel like the man, you feel like the woman, whatever it may be. You're like, yeah, because a lot of times in culture, people have sex to feel good about themselves, to boost their ego, like whatever it may be. That's why people end up having sex for the first time, because they want to feel good and feel good about themselves.
Okay.
That's why nightclub and nightlife is such profitable business, is because that's what guys go out there to do.
So let me ask this then. So you talked about basically not holding space. If you're still holding space for somebody, then you're not over them. Okay, cool. So let's talk about this like on the flip side. Let's say you're not holding space for them to come back, but you still have feelings of anger towards them. Are you over them at that point?
Why would you have feelings of anger?
I don't know. Something that happened during the relationship.
Well, yeah, just like when we listened to those Reddit ones.
Yeah.
I think the more
those were pretty bad.
Yeah, I think the more you hold anger for somebody, the more you're just going to hurt yourself. Because obviously they did what they did because they thought it was the right thing to do.
Maybe. So if you still have those,
they thought it was the right thing to do at the time. So if you're still staying mad at them, just like when we talked about the kid at the wedding that I dated, that's married, about to have 2 kids, and I dated his wife. I dated her in college, and he still thinks about me. Like, why do you still have that anger in your heart towards me? Right. I don't even think or care about you.
So that's my question though. Should you get into something with somebody else still having those feelings of resentment towards us? So not feelings of love that you would still want them to come back, but those feelings of resentment. Should you get into a relationship with somebody else?
I think that's on a case by case basis. I think personally you shouldn't hold. Oh, yeah, you got a call. I was like, why is it live? I think personally you shouldn't hold resentment in your heart towards anybody, because at the end of the day, that affects you more than it affects them. Because you could hate them and they could care less. Yeah. You know, if someone hates me, like I'm saying, I don't care less. If I know I really didn't do you wrong, if I did do you wrong, I'm going to feel a little bit bad. I'm going to feel a little bit bad for a little bit.
For a little bit.
I'm going to feel bad.
Yeah, a little bit.
But if there's no reason and you just like holding that resentment in your own heart, and then 5-10 years later, just like the college thing, like 10 years later, like, come on, that don't make any sense. Let it go. I was in college. I don't know what I was doing.
Right.
So at that point, it doesn't make any sense to me. I just think you shouldn't hold any resentment in your heart, because at the end of the day, it's going to affect you more than it affects the person that you quote unquote hate.
Right. And should you date with that resentment in your heart? You don't think so?
That's a good question. I don't know. Should you date somebody else? So, but I mean, I don't know. What do you think on that? I have no idea. That's a good question.
Well, because you're talking about holding space for someone, and holding space for someone isn't always positive. Sometimes it's negative. Like you said, they have that
so
place in your
negative space,
rent free, right? So that person still affects you, even in this relationship, negatively.
I think
it's what we call trauma, right?
I agree. So basically, yes, they should heal from their trauma. But it's hard to know if if you're getting into a relationship, it's hard to know if somebody is holding resentment unless they talk about it a lot.
Correct.
So now if they're talking about it, if it's silent resentment, you can't really tell. But if it's someone that's talking about how much they hate their ex or whatever, yes, then I would say that is a red flag and you should get out immediately. Because if they're thinking about that person that much, then there's a little bit of caring going on too. So you shouldn't be pursuing somebody that is technically at that point in time going to be emotionally unavailable, in my opinion.
Right. And that's why I was saying about the I just lost my train of thought.
You pulled on me, man.
That's what I was saying about basically fudge. Not being I forgot what I was thinking about. I had it in my head.
Holding negative space?
Yeah, holding that negative space for somebody, but that's what I don't know. I can't remember what it was. It'll come back to me. Yeah, but nonetheless, yeah, holding those negative oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. You don't know, I don't think you really know until if you're over something, until something happens to be able to trigger that. Because like you said, unless they're actively talking about it, unless something that actually happens, whether it be minor or major, you don't really know if that person or that thing or that situation still affects you at that point. So it becomes very difficult to know if you are over that or not. Even regardless of whether it be, let's say, obviously, if you're constantly thinking negative about something that happened way back, obviously you're not over it. But the other things, those dormant feelings that may come back at the drop of a hat because something happened, somebody said something in a certain way, and that was how they used to say it or something like that, and you kind of fly off the handle. It's a difficult thing to manage on a day-to-day basis,
That's why relationships are so complex. What did you think I was going to say?
I said stupid, but it's fine. No,
yeah, stupid too. Yeah. At this point, I'm going to have a different opinion in a couple of weeks. Don't worry, guys. But that's why they're so complex. It's because humans are so complex. So when you put two humans together that already have all their own traumas, problems, life experiences, every relationship is its own dance. So it's going to be a lot of different complexities.
Complexities. You added S in there.
Well, I was just making up words. Hey, that's my USF education. Go Bulls, baby. Complexities. Complexities.
Yeah, that is not a word, brother.
The word of the day is complexities. Okay. All right, complexity. But yeah, individuals are complex. So when you put two together, like, it's not sunshine and rainbows every day. So you got to figure it out. Hey, don't mind me, guys. Don't mind me.
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. So yeah, I mean, bottom line, just take your time before you get out here and start dating and getting involved with people over again.
Yeah, but what is your real answer today? When is it okay if you got out of a relationship today? When is it okay to go hook up with somebody?
When is it okay?
The same day.
I obviously wouldn't do that on probably not on the same day.
Probably not on the same day.
I don't have that kind of pull right now in my life to just go out and find something. But I mean, the thing is, I think we all cope in different ways. So when I would do it versus when it would be okay to do, I think are two separate things. The appropriate answer is to wait until I'm ready to start dating seriously again, and really get into it with somebody, and you really sit down and talk and get into that. But the other side, the non-rational side says
the human, the flesh, the human side.
We broke up on Wednesday. It's about to be the weekend. Where the hoes at? You know what I'm saying? So those are the two demons that are the angel and the devil on your shoulder.
That are on there. Yeah. But yeah, you got to beat your flesh.
No.
Hold on. That's not what I meant. Hold on. You gotta conquer your flesh. Maybe beat your flesh too, but you gotta conquer your flesh, so that way you're not playing with somebody else's emotions.
Just wait until you're married, man. Let's just.
But if you are going to do it,
right?
If you are going to do it, you gotta be real with the person that you're about to do it. Don't just do it and then leave them in limbo. You know what I'm saying? Just like you got left in limbo. Don't be doing that.
But it also depends on the circumstance. It also depends on the circumstance. Like you talk about, you meet a girl at the club. We shouldn't be expecting anything serious from anybody. So why you at
the club then?
Right, I'm at the club for that. I'm at the club for that.
Stop. So you don't put yourself in a situation where your flesh can't handle it.
I'm talking about the explanation of making sure that we understand that we're on the same page, and you know what I'm saying, verbalizing whatever my intentions are. If I meet you out at the club, we know what the intentions are.
Not always. Some people go out there to find love, so you got to let them know that, hey, I just got a relationship. I'm not emotionally available. So if you want to do this, we're going to do this and not get attached. And I might not ever text you or call you again. Like,
I know of one love story of two people meeting at the club. Shout out to the homie. I haven't heard another story about that since.
They met there and they got married.
They met at the club. They got married. They got 4 kids now.
4?
Yeah, they got 4 kids.
We only been open for 5 years.
They didn't meet at Tangra.
Oh no! I thought you were talking about the couple that met at Tangra and got married.
I didn't know anything about that. Oh wow, 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they actually came and got a table and they were talking about it. I thought you might have been there that day. You're like, yeah, we actually met here. Now we're married. I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Wow. So
Tangra love story.
So we have.
But
2.
let me like clear the air on the beating the flesh thing.
We could just leave it where we don't have to do this.
What I meant is like conquer your flesh, conquer your flesh temptations, so that way you're not doing that. That's what I meant. I didn't mean.
Yes,
I didn't mean what you guys.
They know. I feel like they know what you were trying.
I don't know because it just came out. All right, you talk about all right. What are healthy ways to cope then? So clearly, having sex with somebody right after a relationship is not a healthy way to cope.
Not healthy.
What are healthy ways to cope? And I know we probably talked about this in like overcoming anxiety and depression episode. When you get out of a relationship, what are healthy ways to cope with getting through that depression, those waves that hit?
So
this is coming from Cleon. He's sociopath. He doesn't have any emotions. So just let you guys know.
Yeah, I'm a little bit different, man. For me, I think really the best thing to do is to, like, for me, what I did probably the last time I went through something hard was I sat with it in silence. So, you know, all those things that go through your head, I didn't really do any work to silence that. I wanted it to wear on me mentally to be able to kind of get through it. I went for long walks. I just sat down in a corner at my crib. And
walks are good and very underrated.
And walks are phenomenal. But yeah, that's I did basically. It's just some mental fighting really with it. Because I remember like way back what I did. I told you I'm working on it. Jesus help me.
Well, no one's perfect. We all working.
But what I remember one time where me and this girl had stopped talking or whatever the case is. And she had posted a story of her with some dude. It was a little bit, I forgot how long it was after. And I remember how I felt when I watched it. Didn't feel that great.
Of course.
I probably watched it like 10 more times, hoping that it wouldn't hurt anymore by the time that. So I kept just to kind of dull the pain a little bit.
Regardless, those are going to hurt.
Yeah, but that's kind of how I handle. It's like when I when I tore my knee up. And when I was doing the rehab, the only thing I did was keep putting pressure on my knee to deal with the pain of the surgery. So I would purposely put myself in pain in order to get used to the pain. So I don't know if I healed. I just built up a tolerance.
And I also think out of the respect for the relationship that, you probably definitely shouldn't be posting anybody, even though I know people are like that, but that's their own childhood traumas. You shouldn't get into a relationship with somebody that's going to be doing stuff like that right out of a relationship. I think for the respect of it, you definitely shouldn't be doing that.
I don't think it was that soon after in her defense. I think it was I just wasn't over it yet.
Okay.
Well, so that was probably just
still. So I think some of the healthiest ways to cope is definitely walks, but you have to sit with it. You can't just try and drown it out with noise and other things. Like, you really got to sit with those kind of emotions and let them flow through you. And when you get out of a relationship, a lot of times people think like you were the problem or whatever it may be. Yes, there's a lot of things you can learn from failed relationships, and we talk about that literally almost every single week. But you also have to understand, like, sometimes you're not the problem, and that you're still a worthy individual, and that this one just didn't work out, and you just have to accept that and move on.
But sometimes you are the problem. And we have to get into that too, because we have this thing people have. I don't know what it is, because I'm still getting torn apart on my TikTok, where with a bunch of comments about people who don't really feel like they could ever be the problem. It seems like, who are talking to me from a perspective of this person needs to get their stuff together because we have to do all of this. And I'm like, do you feel like there is nothing that you do that might weigh on your partner that they just don't talk to you about?
At the end of the day, it takes two to tango. So 100%, it's not always just one person.
Right.
Actually, 99.8% of the time, it's not always just one person. It's always two people in the relationship as to why it didn't work out. It may be if that person's like, he should have did this, this, and this. Well, maybe you should have communicated it clearly to where he could hear you.
That's all I'll be saying, man. That's all I've been saying.
Sometimes that's how it goes.
Right.
But other ways to cope. What are other healthy ways to cope.
Other healthy ways to cope. I mean, like we talk about all the time, doing things that you enjoy. But you know, like we said, you got to be able to make time for the fun things and being around people that you enjoy, being around, having a good time, but then coming back and still dealing with the emotions of it, understanding how you felt, what you actually went through. Because once the dust settles, you're gonna have a different feeling about everything. That time for
100%.
reflection is super, 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 and it's super important. You have to maybe even journaling, writing down
journaling
those
is
things.
actually a big thing. I do it a couple times here and there, only if like something really, really weighs on me. But it's really good just to write out your thoughts.
Yeah.
Write out your thoughts. And if it's something like a past relationship that you're holding on to, you write out your thoughts, you rip it up, throw it away, or you burn it. So that way you like fully release it is also a good tactic to do. But basically, once you get out of a relationship, you don't want to jump to the next one. You don't want to bring your trauma to the next one. Like I've done that before. You don't want to bring your problems and your trauma. You want to sit with it. You want to heal. You need to get back to yourself, focusing back on you. And what do I mean when I say focus on you? Focus back on your individual personal development. So that means getting closer to God. If you're a believer, if you're not a believer, then talk to me so I could try and help you become one.
It's going to convert you.
Start to build that relationship with God more. Because there's times where, I don't hear anything and it's just like, hey, what's going on here? I still don't hear anything, but you still got to get in the book, still pray every day. Find a hobby, find something that you're passionate about or something that you might not be passionate about, but get into a group, just like we talk about mental health. When Max was on the show, flag football. That's why I went back. I was like, my knee's not 100%, but I know I can move. So I was like, hey, I'm going back to flag football, just co-ed. So it's not as intense, but that, find local groups. You got to have friends. You got to have things to do.
Have some.
Yeah,
don't be a loser.
It doesn't always have to be having friends to go out and party with. Yeah, that might be fun. That might make you forget about it for the night. But when you wake up the next day very hungover, you're going to be hungover, anxious, and depressed because everything that just went on. and realize if you did hook up with somebody that wasn't as fulfilling as you think anyway. So find a hobby. Get back to building yourself, focus on yourself, your morning routine, mind, body, and spirit in the morning, like we talk about as well. Reading, personal development, movement, walks.
Yeah, man. Develop some good habits.
Therapy.
Talk to somebody about
hobbies, it. Learn a new skill.
Start baking bread, man.
Yeah, baking bread, dancing, learn guitar, learn how to sing like Cleon. There's ceramics, rock climbing, there's team sports, especially if you're in Tampa. Like there's so many different communities you can get involved in. Even if you're not athletic, you can go play kickball or something. You know what I'm saying? Like there's communities and
go do solid core, man. Solid core. That's yoga. A big thing. Oh my God,
yeah, yoga is really good, especially do hot yoga on Mondays at 7:15 at Kodawari with Yvonne. Yvonne is the GOAT. I'm sure they got a lot of other great instructors as well.
You guys do goat yoga there?
No, I'm saying she is the GOAT.
She's the GOAT, but for hot yoga.
Yeah.
Okay. So no goat
she's
yoga.
Good. She's a really good person. She's good vibes. Good vibes. Her and her man. So go do something different to take your mind off of it momentarily. But at the end of the day, you got to sit with it and go through it. Not get under somebody to get over somebody. That's not what you want to do. And if you are that person, you should really reevaluate your life morals.
I mean, but I think that also with something like that will force you to reevaluate is where your emotional comfort lies at, obviously, because it's like everybody has different coping mechanisms, right? Some people run to, I don't know, a bunch of unhealthy things, right? So some people will run to sex when they're some people run to food, some people run to, you know what I'm saying?
That is a trait of codependency.
Right.
So you're codependent on another person to make you feel good, even if it wasn't your ex. So now you really got to go start to research why you're codependent.
Yeah, you got to go in, going and dissecting what that is, whether it was, whenever you are having a bad time, you want to go out and drink, you want to go out and smoke, but you have to recognize that that's what it is, because to some people, before they kind of dissect and recognize that, I just want to go have a good time. not realizing that this is my coping mechanism. So recognizing it as that and understanding, okay, so why have I decided this? What happened that made this the thing that I run to when I'm feeling uncomfortable? And how do I break that bond and make that as something that's going to be healthier for me in the long run?
So that's why that self-reflection is so important, especially in that time after you are going through a breakup like that. That self-reflection is so important right there to really realize what part of the problem were you and why. And if you weren't the problem, then you have to find healthy coping mechanism. Sure, if you do it once, whatever. If that's what you needed to do, that's what you needed to do. But I'm not saying that that is the right thing to do, because all it really is a quick dopamine hit. And as soon as you're by yourself again, as soon as it's quiet, that wave's going to come right back.
And you're going to be back to that same person you were before it the next day.
And then you're going to be hitting up another person, trying to get another quick dopamine hit just to get rid of the feelings. Rolling, baby. And you're going to keep doing that. So that's why I say you got to conquer the flesh. That's the term of the day, and whatever the other word I just tried to make up.
We don't complexities.
Complexities.
We're working on Brandon. Guy, he reads a lot.
I'm working on myself every day, baby. I'm trying to. Some days we're just here surviving, some days we're thriving. But that's the ebbs and flows of life, and that's what makes life so great. And what we really got to remember is that, especially when we go through these breakups or we go through these storms in life, is that that's not really the end goal. The end goal is eternal life with Christ. So if you can put your mind on that, that's really the end goal. The end goal ain't you getting married, having kids, and a family, even though that's what you really, really want. Sometimes that might not be God's plan for you. Your end goal is eternal life with Christ, not what your human wants.
When do you think is a good time to get married? Like, is there an age or a thing? When do you feel like it makes sense?
I think it's all based on how you grew up. You grew up. For me, growing up, like I said, I didn't meet my dad till I was 20. So when I was really young, I saw my mom with different guys. Some were abusive. And then when I was maybe like 9 or 10, she met the guy that she's with now. So from like as young as I can remember, I could just remember like these different guys coming in and out of her life. And then finally she found one. So when I was younger, I was like, since I seen how many relationships went so wrong, I was like, I want to get married early. I want to be married by like 25. So I thought that was going to happen with my high school sweetheart. And then we all know the story of that. Then it didn't happen. Then after that, it's like, all right, I don't want to. And then you get into your 30s, like, all right, I kind of want to. But on the flip side, my youngest stepsister of my stepdad, who my mom married, she got married at 21 because she never saw all the stuff that I saw growing up with how bad relationships could be and stuff like that. She basically only saw, her mother and then her stepmother. And then both of those, that was the only relationship they had after that. So she saw healthier relationships. So she got into one early and has a kid and everything. So it's like, it depends on your childhood and what you see growing up, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything too young, because there's people that get married at a young age and it goes the distance, and there's people that get divorced. I don't think there's a age limit on it if you find the right person.
Could you imagine yourself married at the 25-year-old that you were? Could you? What would you think that would look like if you got married at 25 where you wanted to?
I'm thankful I never did. Reason being is because I learned so much that I would have never learned being married. I've learned so much from failures and relationship failures and personal failures that I never would have learned being in a relationship with somebody else. So being by myself a lot, I learned and gained so much more experience than I would have ever done in a relationship. And that's what I'm thankful for. Because had I been in one at that age, it might not have lasted. I don't know. The emotional intelligence wasn't as high. The immaturity was still there. So it was like a lot of different things that I went through that I'm very grateful for, because now, I mean, you see it, like I could be at the club and there's nothing that's going to, like, I conquer my flesh. You know what I'm saying? I conquer my flesh because there's nothing that is going to deter me from my end goal, which is the next person that I want to sleep with is going to be my wife or my future wife. So it's like, there's no temptation that can stop me now. Now, 5 years ago or at 25, there was definitely a lot of temptation. And my mind wasn't mature enough to be able to put it away. And like I say all the time, is people get older, but they don't grow up. Because you even see the older people that be out there.
It's heartbreaking.
And they can't conquer their flesh. They're still out there doing the same thing.
Right.
Even the ones that be getting into relationships. That's why they're in and out of relationships. You see it on a day-to-day basis. So I think that had I had got married at a young age, I don't think I would have been emotionally, my time limit, emotionally ready.
Right.
So I think that it would have experienced a lot of storms,
a lot of growing pains,
and a lot of storms. Not saying that it would have never worked out, but it probably wouldn't have. It probably would have been a divorce. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that I learned going through everything. So grateful for that.
Yeah.
Were you almost married at a young age?
Oh no, I was.
I mean, I thought when I was in high school, I thought I was going to marry my high school sweetheart.
That's what I ideally that I wanted. I wanted to get married at a young age. But obviously the older that you get, and then especially with me, because I had a girlfriend my senior year in high school. We broke up because I went to college and I didn't really trust myself to go away and still do the right things. Obviously I was like 17 years old. But then when I moved out to Florida at 19. So obviously a brand new space with brand new people in a brand new area. The possibility of me finding somebody and settle down at that age that I didn't already know, slim to none.
That's the emotional intelligence and the immaturity.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing that it didn't happen at a young age.
It couldn't have. Have you watched Divorce Court before?
Probably when I was younger, I did. Is that God call?
I have. It better be. My iPad is ringing.
Who's?
Oh, I have both of them.
Is that God?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't think I ever had watched. Maybe when I was younger, but that's the thing too. Like when I was in high school, I thought that was it. Like I thought that's what relationships were. You find somebody, that's it,
and that's
you commit. That's all you do. Right. So at the time, I guess I was a lot more mature because I'm like, yeah, this is it. Nobody else. But after that one ended, it just completely changed the way that I viewed relationships and the way I viewed myself in relationships. Because I was like, yeah, I'm never going to feel that again.
Right.
Then I felt that like 5 more times. So I was like, oh, okay.
Then I felt that like 5 more times.
So I mean, not that bad, but with all the failed stuff that's going on. But
that is hilarious.
If you want more. We always shout out the episode Skeleton, man. That's such a good episode. But if you want more deep dive in on the relationships, you go into that one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, any final thoughts you have? What do you want to talk about Divorce Court?
Well, because that before I was rudely interrupted here. Divorce Court is a very, very interesting show. Because what it comes with is a bunch of people of all ages in relationships, and basically they're coming there to determine if they should get married or if they should be ending the marriage at that point. And so there we see couples that are 22, 23-year-olds all the way up to people who are in their 40s or 50s. And a lot of things boil down to a lot of trust issues, a lot of accusations of manipulation, a lot of things surrounding money, a lot of things surrounding infidelity.
Money and infidelity is some of the biggest ones why relationships fail.
Some of the biggest reasons why relationships fail. People have a hard time. And then probably one of the funnier ones was this young lady who was talking about how she has her boyfriend's location and all these other things. And then they asked, hey, does he have your location? And she was like, no. And she was like, why not? He's like, he doesn't need all of that. Then she was doing the whole his money is my money and what's his is mine, but what's mine is also mine, that sort of thing. But I just thought it was interesting. It's a very interesting show, and you get to really see in real time why a lot of relationships do fail and don't get past a certain point. So I do think it's an interesting thing to watch.
And that's why you should focus on yourself and personal development. And really make sure you're ready before you hop into a relationship. I know people hop into a relationship and grow together, but you really got to do that inner work on yourself as well.
Correct. And I think both of those things are important, because that's one of the other things that I was talking about, is that people do have to grow separately, but you also are going to grow together. But both of those things are very, very important in order to maintain a successful and long-term relationship. Not that I know, haven't been to the end of the road quite yet, but I imagine that that's got to be important. That's got to be something that's valuable. But that's just my it's my opinion on it.
Yeah, when I get married, I definitely don't want it to be in a divorce.
Yeah,
So
ideally not.
final thoughts here. I do have a question for you. Do you believe in soulmates? There's a soulmate for everybody, or a twin flame? And if you don't know what a twin flame is, let me know.
Twin flame.
You ever heard of that?
I've heard it. I've heard the term.
All right. So do you think that they're a soulmate?
I'm iffy on that. Reason why I'm iffy on that is because, and which obviously could go either way, but I'm iffy on it because I think a lot of things regarding love is just proximity. You can only fall in love with the people that you meet. Now, obviously, you can argue that you're in this specific place at this specific time with these specific people, but also, like, a lot of people who don't leave their city marry people from their city. That's not to say, if you, let's say from where I'm from, Salisbury, Maryland, if I go out to California, I could meet a girl out there, and who I like just the same as I met over there.
So you believe there could be multiple soulmates?
I think that, I don't even know if I would use the term soulmate. If we can build,
you choose your soulmate.
Yeah, I think you choose. At the end of the day, you have to choose to love somebody, and who you choose to love is who you're going to love. So just like we can develop a bunch of soul ties, I think we can also determine who our soulmate is going to be, just depending on where you go. But I think a lot of people who, if you're moderately attractive and at least kind of funny, you can go find love almost anywhere, and it will statistically will probably go the same way as if you were with your soulmate.
Yeah, I think that there could be multiple for you, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, you have to choose that person. But basically, according to ChatGPT, what makes someone a soulmate is effortless connection. Being around them feels peaceful and easy, like coming home. Mutual growth. You bring out the best in each other, you bring out the best in each other without the chaos or intensity of a twin flame. So the twin flame is more of like this, like the spark. You get with someone, you hook up with them, it's just that immediate spark, and then it usually ends up in chaos, and then it's like this big life lesson. That's usually like your twin flame. Like, they weren't your soulmate, but they were there in your life to teach you and help you grow. I definitely had one of those. Ended up in jail with that one. So,
yeah, there we go.
Deep understanding. You get each other sometimes without needing to say a word. Aligned values. Even if you're different, your core beliefs, goals, and outlook often align. Comfort and stability. It's a steady kind of love, not a roller coaster. So those are all the things that make someone a soulmate. A soulmate is someone your soul feels deeply connected to emotionally, spiritually, and often even physically. Unlike a twin flame, a soulmate isn't necessarily the other half of your soul, but they complement you in a way that feels natural, grounding, and familiar. So, that being said, you got any other final thoughts, Mr. Deal?
Number one, after you get out of a relationship, take your time before you start having physical intimacy with other people.
Or just wait till you're married.
Or wait till let's just wait until you're married. After, if this one doesn't work out, just wait until you're married for the next time. It's already too late on this one. Don't.
If you take anything from this episode, conquer your flesh, not beat it. Conquer your flesh, and understand the complexities of relationships.
Yeah, we learned a lot today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we're happy you guys could be here and laugh with us and hang out with us. But yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish what you got to say.
Yeah, man, do that. Just take your time with it, man. There's no rush. At the end of the day, sex is always going to be there. It's never going to go away. It's how the world started, and most likely that's going to be the biggest downfall to it.
Yep.
So there's no need to rush back into it. Take your time to yourself and figure it out. before you get into that. Make sure you know what you're looking for. Make sure you find somebody who's looking for what you're looking for. And then wait till you're married and then go have a baby or something, man. I don't know. I just work here.
Yeah, don't listen to the temptations of life.